Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, and I've got another bookmark for you today. This time we are going to draw and paint a nutcracker, and you could go in with a pencil first to sketch. I decided to go right in with a fine liner because originally I thought I would do this whimsical sketch with a fine liner and then I would just do some watercolor washes and kind of leave it as is. But I did end up doing some other work with glitter pens at the end, so it would have been fine if I had just gone in with a pencil sketch to begin with. So use whatever you want, I think. The important thing is that you have fun. And I apologize for my hand getting in the way there. It's kind of an awkward thing to sketch on a small piece of paper like this and try to film it, because generally if I was sketching small, I'd have my head kind of right over the drawing. So I know this isn't ideal, but you can kind of get the idea of the basic shapes that I'm using to create this little nutcracker guy. And I did look at some photos on Unsplash to get an idea on what nutcrackers look like, because it's something I have never really looked at, to be honest. And I was just kind of thinking, what could I draw on a bookmark for Christmas? And a nutcracker was kind of one of the first things that came to mind. It is a little bit complex as far as like it having a lot of different pieces and parts, but you know, I think this could be something that you could have a lot of fun with, especially maybe you have kids getting together for the holidays and you want a little bit of a busy project for them to cut down a bunch of watercolor paper, or use these watercolor paper bookmarks here that I have from Hanemula, to just put, or even just cardstock, you know, and put it down, put a bunch of art supplies down and let kids draw nutcrackers on them. I think that would be a lot of fun. You could even do something like going in with alcohol markers, not on watercolor paper though, that would dry them out, use just like cardstock, and you could draw like, you know, sticks, like rectangles for legs and big rectangles for the torso, and, you know, triangles for the crown, do different things like that. Use those basic shapes, and then once you've got those basic shapes in, go in with like a Sharpie, like a black Sharpie, and draw the details. I think something like that would be really fun to do. This would be a really fun lesson plan, I think, if you were working with like a group that celebrated Christmas, like maybe a Sunday school or Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, something like that. I think would be really fun as far as a project. And yeah, just a basic nutcracker, nothing to write home about. I did make sure to heat set the ink, because sometimes with your fine liners on watercolor paper, especially if it has a heavy sizing to it, the fine liners can take a little longer to dry. So I just make sure that I've wet it. Now, this is a trick to keep your paper flat. I wet the back of the bookmark and then just slapped it down on my cutting mat. You could also use any sort of non-porous surface for this, and this way I can paint right out to the edge without having to tape it down, because I didn't have enough room to tape it down. So wetting the back will keep it flat, and sometimes even when you tape it down it doesn't keep it completely flat, so wetting the back of the paper is actually an excellent way to be able to control that warping. Now look, I can still get crisp lines even though the back of the paper is wet. As long as you don't wet the entire front of the paper, it's going to be just like you're working on dry paper. So it's a nice technique to try if you ever struggle with warped paper. And I've actually think you have to let me know what you think about this. I asked on Sunday in that video and on Sat Chat, but I found this watercolor calendar, and it's very affordable, and it's 100% cotton paper. And I thought it'd be fun maybe to paint along every month a different design for the calendar, because it's just got the calendar printing on the bottom and a famous artist quote, and then you've got this big space in the center. So that's an idea that I'm thinking about doing here on YouTube for free. If anybody is interested, you don't have to buy the calendar. You could obviously just use a sketchbook, but I thought it'd be kind of fun, and then you could display it all month and then, you know, do another one next month. Anyway, just a thought I had. Hopefully I'll have the the stick-to-itiveness to see it through, but I just thought it looked like a really fun project, and it was like the calendar was like $15 regular price, so yeah, what the heck, it's kind of a fun thing, and the paper's nice quality, so even if you know, didn't like the whole calendar aspect, you could always paint on the backside, I suppose. But you know, seriously, 12 sheets of paper and a holder for $15 or $12.99 on sale. And actually, guys, the year's almost over, so maybe they'll go on like super duper clearance. I don't know. But I'll put a link to that too if you were interested in it. But you can look on my YouTube channel and see the other calendar page I did to see if it's something you might be interested in. But yeah, basically it's just kind of like a coloring page here. I'm filling in my shapes with watercolor. That's all I'm doing. I'm not doing any fancy shading. I did mix a flesh tone here. Let me tell you about that palette that you're probably probably glancing at and wondering what is going on there. So I bought the Cotman Field Sketch box a couple of years ago because I love the design of that palette, and it was like on sale for like $21 or something. It was really inexpensive. And the professional one is like $75, but I figured I would just buy the Cotman one and I would put whatever paints I wanted into it. Now I did review it just because I do like to, when I get a new palette, I do like to review it on my YouTube channel. So that way, if people are interested in it, they can kind of see what comes with it, how it comes, if it's something that they would like, because not everybody has tubes of paint. Like if they're buying a palette with paint in it, probably because they need the paint too. So I did a review of that, but then after the review, I pulled out those pans. Now, to be completely honest, I actually had all those colors because I have the full Cotman range in a studio palette. So I actually kept the ones that came with the palette all wrapped up, but I did put those exact same colors that were extruded half pans, same paint in there just to do the review. But then I decided to put some half pans I had poured in different palettes that I wasn't really happy with the palette they were in, and make my own palette. So there's a mishmash of colors there. I have a burnt umber and a yellow ochre from Yarka. I have a few half pans that are from a company that I'm not sure if they're still in business anymore, but the company name was Regina's Paint Company, or Regina's Watercolor, I think is what it was called. I'm not sure if they're still in business or not, but they make these really vivid watercolors, and you can get some of their colors in half pans. So I got some of their single pigment colors in half pans, and I put those in there. And then I have I think I have one Cotman color, my ultramarine blue in there, I think is a Cotman color. And I think the warm yellow, and there's like a sap green that are a different brand. I can't remember what, but I added those in there. So I'd have a nice split primary mixing palette and also a couple convenience greens. One thing I will say, I have this like magenta, and I have this kind of like cad red light kind of color. I don't think it's cadmium red. I think it's like a pyrrole scarlet or something, but I have to say I don't have a rich true red, and when I mixed my magenta and the cadmium red together, or pyrrole, whatever that is, that doesn't make a really true red. So because I'm somebody who uses red a lot and I have space in the palette, I'll probably add a naphthol crimson, or just something that's a little bit, or maybe a quinacridone red, something that's a little bit more punchy and more of a neutral red, because that's definitely something I was missing on this very Christmassy design. But other than that, I mean, this palette is nice. It's cute. A problem that I had with this, though, is that those Regina watercolors are very sticky, and it's kind of like M-gram or any honey-based tube paint that you pour into pans. It can kind of travel and ooze. And although I kept this flat, the flaps on the palette that fold down dipped down to the recess enough that it stuck to some of those colors, and I had to clean off the palette. And I actually, that's why that palette's out. I'm trying to let it dry out fully. I used the paints that stuck out on something else, so I didn't waste it. But that's why that was on my desk anyway. So that's the tale of that palette. I know I'm not really talking too much about the project here because it's pretty straightforward. It's like a coloring book. In fact, you could just find pictures of nutcrackers, like coloring pages, and trace them onto a bookmark or whatever. Don't feel like you have to draw if you just want to do a project and you want to have fun. I decided that I wanted to have some glitz here. So these are my favorite metallic watercolors, to be honest, and they're a set that I've had for a few years. It's by Paul Rubens, and it's their 24 metallic set. Now, Paul Rubens actually sent me the 48 metallic set, but I find that I use this 24 set more than anything. And I have tried the Superior 24 set of metallics, and I think it's definitely based on this set, but the colors aren't quite as sparkly. They're not quite as opaque. They're not quite as glittery, but honestly, you probably wouldn't notice unless you put them side by side. I swatched them side by side, and I could notice a quality difference, but the Superior / Art Whale / Artsy, whatever brand you're buying it from, because it crops up on Amazon by all these different brands. They come in a blue tin. Side by side, I notice a big difference, but if I was just using it, I probably wouldn't notice that much of a difference. Maybe and I don't have the Finetech metallics, and maybe if I swatched the Finetech side by side to these, I would notice a big difference. But all in all, these are the ones I reach for. These are the ones I use the most, and I've been using them every year, and I barely have dents in them. And I like soak them, and I let them get really, really soft and goopy so I can use them really thickly, and they still last a really long time. So this is my recommendation, the 24 set, because once you get the 48 set, there's so many similar colors that I don't find that it's that big of an advantage. But I know the appeal of wanting all the colors. I get it. So do what you want to do, but I do like the Paul Rubens metallic watercolors. All of this to say that I think they're pretty good, and they do go on sale quite often. Most of their products will go on sale, and sometimes you'll get lucky and they'll be wanting to clear out one of their Amazon warehouses, and you'll get them for like a steal. But anyway, I'm using the Ohuhu glitter markers here to do some subtle patterning over the kind of just plain areas, because it's just kind of like a basic flat fill type design here, so it's not that interesting. So I put polka dots on the green with a green marker. I did a kind of a plaid design on the red with a silver marker, and I'm going over the gems with their respective glittery colors. Now the Ohuhu glitter pens are not as opaque, but I just kind of wanted that subtle tone on tone. If you want a more opaque metallic, I would go with an acrylic based paint marker, or just one of those just more glitter paint marker or chrome paint markers that you can find. But I thought that I wanted the watercolor to show through a little bit, so I went with the Ohuhu ones that are a little bit more glittery and transparent ink, rather than it being like a pearl. Like the watercolor paints there are more of a pearl shimmer. They're very opaque. The glitter markers are a little more translucent. So I just like that variety, I guess, of textures, because I feel like this is such a simple design, although it took me almost an hour to create this bookmark. Because it's such a simple design, I feel like I needed that variety of textures and finishes to make it a little bit more interesting. And I ended up just filling in the boots, because the black I mixed with the red and green from my watercolor set was not as intense as I wanted. It wasn't dark enough, so I'm like, glitter boots will work really well, so that's what I did there. And this just goes to show you that if you're not happy with the way something's going, just keep going, just keep pushing and adding more things to it, and at the end of the day, it's still a pretty bookmark. It may not look like you spent an hour on it, but it's still a cute bookmark, and someone would put that in their book and be happy with it, or you could use it as a gift tag, or you could use it as a Christmas card. You could use it as if you ever give a gift certificate to somebody or cash to somebody, you could put that on like a long cardstock card, put the money inside, and then put it in a number 10 business envelope, and you're good to go. That's a great gift. And you've got something handmade that shows you did care, but you just didn't quite know what to buy. And in these days where money's tight and things are expensive, giving cash or a gift certificate to something or a place that somebody would really enjoy, I think that's great. Or to even a grocery store where people would actually, get their necessities. I think that's a really thoughtful gift. And I'm all about the practical gifts, honestly. I don't feel like I'm a very good gift giver, but I can do the practical ones. And just knowing that somebody I love is going to get something they want, or it can ease their daily struggles, is the best gift that I think I could give. Anyway, I hope you have a Merry Christmas. I hope you're not struggling, and I hope you're surrounded by people who love you. And if you are having a struggle or having a tough day, I'm going to send you a big virtual hug, and I'm glad you're here. And you can hang out with me all day virtually. That's fine. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and until next time, happy crafting and Merry Christmas.